It was a stormy night in early January when Jack, a seasoned traveler, arrived at the old Marigold Hotel. The building stood in the remote hills of the countryside, an eerie presence under the heavy rain. Jack had heard whispers about this place, how it once bustled with life but now stood forgotten by time. He didn't believe in ghosts, but that night his skepticism would be challenged. Jack checked in, and the desk clerk, an old man with a mysterious air, handed him the key to room 713. "It's the only room we have available," the clerk said, his eyes briefly flickering with something akin to fear. Jack shrugged off the man's odd demeanor and made his way to the 7th floor. The elevator groaned its way up, and the hallways were dimly lit, casting long shadows that seemed to move on their own. When he finally reached room 713, Jack noticed the door appeared older and more worn than the others. He brushed off the unease settling in his stomach and unlocked the door. The room was surprisingly well kept, though a chill hung in the air. Jack settled in, unpacking his bags and preparing for bed. As he was about to turn off the lights, a soft, almost imperceptible knock echoed from the closet door. He paused, listening intently. Another knock, louder this time. "Hello?" Jack called out, his voice steady but his heart racing. There was no response. He cautiously approached the closet and flung the door open, revealing nothing but empty hangers swaying gently. He closed it, convincing himself it was just his imagination, and climbed into bed. As the night deepened, Jack was jolted awake by a cold breeze that swept through the room. The windows were closed, yet the chill persisted. He sat up, his breath visible in the frosty air. Suddenly, the closet door creaked open on its own. In the dim light, Jack could see a shadowy figure standing inside the closet, its eyes glowing faintly. "Who's there?" he demanded, but the figure remained silent. It began to move, slowly stepping out of the closet and advancing toward him. Jack felt paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. The figure reached the foot of the bed, its face becoming clearer. It was a woman, her eyes filled with sorrow and torment. "Why are you here?" Jack managed to whisper. The ghostly woman raised her hand, pointing to a spot under the bed. Jack, trembling, looked down and saw something glinting in the darkness. He reached for it, the room growing colder with each passing second. Just as his fingers brushed the object, the woman let out a bone-chilling scream. The room was suddenly plunged into darkness, and Jack felt a cold hand grip his wrist tightly. Panic surged through him as he struggled to break free. The last thing he saw was the woman's haunted eyes, staring into his soul as everything went black. The old Regal Hotel had been abandoned for decades, its once grand facade now crumbling and overtaken by ivy. Whispers of its haunted past intrigued Sarah, Amir, and their 3 friends. As thrill-seekers, they couldn't resist spending a night there. They arrived at dusk, the fading sunlight casting eerie shadows on the dilapidated building. With each step closer, the air grew colder, and the wind howled through the broken windows like a mournful lament. The grand lobby, filled with dusty furniture and faded portraits, seemed frozen in time. As they ventured deeper, their flashlights flickered, casting unsettling silhouettes on the walls. The group decided to split up to explore. Sarah and Amir headed upstairs, their footsteps echoing in the hollow hallways. They found a series of rooms, each more decrepit than the last. As they peered into a particularly dark room, a chill ran down Sarah's spine. She felt an unseen presence, as if eyes were watching their every move. Meanwhile, their friends in the basement encountered a locked door. The old wood groaned as they forced it open, revealing a hidden room filled with antique furniture. The air was thick with an overpowering scent of decay. On an old wooden table, they found a dusty journal. Its pages recounted the hotel's dark history, mysterious disappearances, ghostly apparitions, and a caretaker who had vanished without a trace. In the dim light, the words seemed to twist and turn, revealing an ominous warning: "Leave before the hotel reclaims you." A sudden crash echoed from upstairs, and Sarah and Amir's voices called out in panic. The group rushed to find them, but as they reached the top of the stairs, the entire floor seemed to shift and distort. Shadows danced on the walls, forming grotesque shapes that seemed almost alive. Sarah and Amir were nowhere to be found. Desperation set in as the friends frantically searched the maze-like corridors. Every door they opened revealed only empty rooms, their friends' voices growing fainter and fainter. The walls seemed to close in, and the air became suffocating. A sense of dread filled the group as they realized they were not alone. Faint whispers and ghostly apparitions began to haunt them, mirroring their every move. The hotel's dark past had awakened, and it was determined to claim new victims. Desperation turned to terror as they discovered the final room, a grand ballroom filled with dusty chandeliers and decaying grandeur. In the center stood an old mirror, its surface cracked and distorted. As they gazed into it, their own reflections twisted into grotesque, nightmarish forms. The friends realized too late that the hotel was a trap, a malevolent entity that fed on the fear of those who dared to enter. Their screams echoed through the empty halls as they were pulled into the darkness, never to be seen again.